prodding the eye. And Beanie Wells gets the carry, takes the contact, and gave you about 7 more yards. Wells again. 4th down and 1. The opening possession of the game. High formation. Beanie Wells, the tailback, stutter step, and still got into the end zone. Touchdown.
That he's done for the last 5 or 6 games.
Well, his name is Tressel, not Trustle. And here's another first down run by Wells. 2nd down and 6.
Wells straight up the middle, breaks the tackle. Chris Wells inside the 40 and down to the 22-yard line. Chris Wells, touchdown.
They're going to take it. I found it interesting that it was Ed Reed that went out and took Larry Fitzgerald. Again, Beanie Wells over the top for the touchdown. Extra wrestling going on at the bottom of the pile. But Beanie Wells with his 7th rushing touchdown of the season. He goes vertical here over the pile. Once you break the plane, doesn't matter what happens. Ooh, that's got to hurt falling on your head. You're lucky more than just the ball popped off. Oh, my goodness. But once he crosses the goal line.
Arizona gets the football. 1st and goal, they give it to Beanie Wells. He fights his way into the end zone, a 7-yard rushing touchdown, so he does get his touchdown in the game. Cardinals go up 13.
1 yards for Andre Roberts. 1st and goal at the 4. Beanie Wells with the carry. Beanie Wells over for the touchdown.
All right, here we are, another episode of the 1372 show, the QB and the OG, live here inside of Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium on the grounds of the Hall of Fame Village, powered by Johnson Controls. And I knew when we kind of started this thing, or kind of brought the concept and idea to shape about a year ago, that eventually I was going to run into a former Buckeye, and eventually I would get a former teammate. I got both of that today, and my man, Beanie Wells. I appreciate you joining the show, my man. How's things been?
These are great, man. I can't complain, but I appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's always great to, see a former Buckeye in the media world and doing good things. And, anytime I can get a chance to come on board and be a part of somebody that I played with or somebody that's a former Buckeye, I'm all for it.
All right, man. So the last time we saw each other, just a few weeks ago, before the Ohio State-Michigan game, we were down there for a great benefit in the name of John Hicks at the Unverfurth House, Unlimited Love. John Hicks, an absolute legend in our world. We know from messages that we got from Earl Bruce back in the day, right? You lose to Michigan, you got to walk the back alleys. You're in Columbus, man. And even though that the Buckeyes haven't had a chance to play in this Rose Bowl game yet, has the dust settled after that loss up in Ann Arbor?
I don't think so. I think people are, still have that kind of somber vibe. And I tell you what, last night I was at my kid's banquet, and a kid and his dad, who's on the football team, they're diehard Michigan fans. And, that's all they were talking about at the banquet. So those people are still riding the high right now. And I think every Buckeye fan down here in Columbus is, still feeling the effects of that. So the dust hasn't settled yet. I don't think it'll settle until, we get a chance to go back out there on the football field and play again. But, man, it's definitely an interesting time right now.
Put a little shine on your boys, man. I saw it on social media. What, the Westerville Eagles?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so they won the championship. I saw they were out there flossing the rings, man. Talk about your sons.
Oh, man, it was great. I actually coached with, I don't know if you remember, Tito Paul.
Yeah.
Played safety at Ohio State. Stanley Jackson is our head coach. Winfield Garnett, Deshaunte Webb, all of these guys that played at Ohio State, we all coached together. And obviously, we all have sons. So it's been a pleasure, man, to coach all of these kids and to have our sons out there being a part of this team. But they did end up winning the mini OCC championship. And, dude, I don't know if I've ever been a part of a league that was, so gung-ho on beating this team just because of the kids' fathers. Not because of the kids, but because of the kids' fathers, man. So everybody was gunning for us. We had an opportunity to go out and win a championship. I'm so proud of the kids, man. It's been great.
Chris Beanie Wells joining us on the 1372 show, the QB and the OG. I'm rolling solo today, minus the College Football Hall of Famer, Jim Ballard. He's down with the sickness, so I'm going to hold it down for him. We're sending some well wishes to my man. Hopefully he's back here soon. Let's get right into your football career. All right, you come out of Akron, played football at Garfield. That school has since merged with Kenmore. Talk about what it was like coming through the Akron City Series. For a long time there, there was a lot of power coming out of there. Everybody knows about Bookdole and what Ricky Powers was able to do, but then you kind of grabbed the reins when you were coming out, and you were the #1 recruit in the country coming out. Talk about your expectations for where the Akron City Series League might end up, and how you feel about the merger of Kenmore Garfield, and have you been back there to be able to talk to some of the guys?
It was different. It was a different time then. When I was going to school at Akron, I felt like, just about every team in that city was pretty good. And, it's a crazy thing to sit back and you go back and you look at the time that you were, playing high school football. Antonio Pittman was a running back at Bookdale. Tyrell Sutton, who went on to Northwestern, is the all-time rusher in the state of Ohio, was a running back at Hoban. Another guy by the name of DeLon Carter was a running back at Hoban and then Copley, and he ended up winning Mr. Football my senior year in high school. So, we had some phenomenal players, specifically running backs during that time period, man. So the city of Akron at that point was really on fire, had a lot of talent. It's since, in my opinion, taken a dip. I'd like to see it, come back around to producing some great athletes. Now, I think some schools out there are still putting kids into college, but in terms of the competition throughout the entire city, I thought it was incredible. I actually was one of those guys that I didn't like the merger of Akron Garfield going to Kenmore Garfield, but you understand, they were creating a new school, so you had to have a place for those kids to go. But I'm certainly looking forward to Garfield opening back up and those kids getting a chance to go back into that Garfield tradition and hopefully, making Garfield a football powerhouse in which it used to be.
And that happens next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's good stuff coming down there for Garfield. Listen, you gave me the perfect segue when you started that thing off there, and this is kind of a twofold thing for you here. But you came in early for us. You didn't take the traditional path of wait June, July, August, and just come in there for training camp. You got on campus early, and you were coming in there and you were splitting carries with Antonio Pittman. We got two backs out of the Akron City Series, and they're toting the rock for us. And I know it wasn't easy on you, man, because I was in that huddle with you. And I know a lot of people on our offensive line, our quarterback, Troy Smith, Pittman was our guy coming in from the previous season. And even in 2004, for you to come in there and have to earn and win that respect coming in early, how was that whole experience for you? Would you recommend to kids to take the path that you did, get in there early, get your feet wet as soon as possible? Does that help you and benefit you in getting those carries? And to be able to get the respect of the guys once you first start toting that rock, what's that feeling like?
Oh man, it was great. And, a lot of people will, make it out to be, I was coming in and trying to, take Pitt's job, but man, Pitt made that transition so smooth for me. He's a guy, obviously we grew up in the same area. We're both from Akron. We knew each other. So coming in, he made it easy. And it wasn't like one of those traditional situations to where you would have a guy that was like, no, this dude's my competition, so I'm gonna, steer him away. He made sure I knew everything as far as the playbook. He made sure I was working out. He made sure I was having fun and enjoying myself. So he made that transition so smooth and easy for me coming in as an early guy. And I don't even know if people really knew this. As a freshman, you got to stay in the dorm. I stayed in the dorm for 2 weeks. I'm out the dorm. I'm living with Pitt. So that's how close we are. And how he made that thing a seamless transition for me. In terms of leaving early, would I do it again? I think so. I think a guy like me benefited from having a spring, getting acclimated to the offense, getting acclimated to college. My first time being away from home, learning how to do things on my own without my mom and dad, having to wake me up and tell me where I got to be and when I got to be there. I think that spring, was so critical for me. And just becoming a young man and being out there on my own. So certainly I would do it again. But now that I look back on, other people's situation, I know it's not for everybody. So you have to, when you're making that decision to go forward and leave early, you got to really be honed in on if it's going to be for you, because a lot of times kids miss prom, they miss all the senior activities. So it's not like a one of those deals to where you make that decision.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
Yeah, will you have anything else to worry about? You certainly have things that you have to consider when you're making that decision. But for me, I'll do it all over again in a heartbeat.
You know, and being a track guy too, you know, you're giving up the chance to maybe go down to Columbus and get some gold. You know, you're foregoing that opportunity. So, hey, listen, I've always taken pride in this, my man. It didn't take you long to get started. Northern Illinois got into the end zone for the first time. I take a lot of pride because you came right off of my block, and Deontay Johnson followed us into the end zone. That experience at the time, I believe you were just 18 years old. I don't know. You may have still been young. Were you 17 or 18 at that moment?
So I think I had just turned 18, like maybe a couple of weeks after, maybe before the game.
You're running the rock for the #1 team in the country. You got 100,000 plus inside the horseshoe. You get your first touchdown in the first game of the 2006 season. What was that like for you?
Bro, it was so crazy. You grow up watching Ohio State. You grow up when you're being recruited, you're coming to the games. And then I get there, I play in the spring, I get a chance to be in the shoe, but it's nothing whatsoever like a true game day. Spring game is packed, but it's not like a true game day in the shoe. So to be able to, get some carries and then get in the end zone, I mean, I think that had to be the best feeling of my life at that moment, because it was like, wow, I'm really here right now. And I'm really in the end zone celebrating. I always say, scoring a touchdown is the best feeling in the world. Scoring a touchdown in the shoe is 10 times better than anything. So, I mean, to be able to do that was so incredible, man. Such a fulfilling feeling.
Okay, let's multiply that feeling times 100. Last game of the season, #1 versus #2, game of the century, and you rattle off the 52-yarder, another one off of your boy 72's block, man.
Right.
You had a bunch of iconic runs against Michigan, and we know what it means to be able to play against that team. We obviously know what the Buckeyes are going through right now, kind of reeling after losing to them. But the old adage, big games, big players, big performances, for you to have that kind of staple for your Ohio State career, that's something that you carry with you for a lifetime, right? I mean, to be able to have those type of runs against Michigan.
100%. I mean, that's something that I'll cherish forever. The ability, one, just to play in the game, but two, to be able to, have a significant impact and have those signature runs in that game. I mean, not a lot of guys get an opportunity to do that. And, for me to play in 3 of those games, to win all 3 and to have big runs in them, I mean, you got to give, obviously, the kudos to the offensive line and all that, but that memory is going to be instilled forever. When they're playing Ohio State, Michigan games, those highlights are going to be reeling off year after year. So to be able to etch yourself in stone in the history of that game is magnificent. I mean, it's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. And, hopefully my kids and, Buckeye fans along the way will be able to cherish it forever as well.
So we were able to create a line of success against the Wolverines going all the way back to 2001 when Jonathan Wells got it started. We dropped one in 03, but picked it right back up in 04, continued to roll after I left as your career continued on. But we didn't technically end it the way we wanted to in 06 and 07. You were able to go to back-to-back national championship games. And even when you look at the Florida game, certain things that we did, obviously we lost Teddy after that opening kickoff return, but we went for it. And I can't remember if it was you or Pitt that was running the rock. I believe it was you, where we went for it from our own 35-yard line on 4th and 1, and we got stopped, and then you come back out the following year, you're playing LSU in the national championship game, and you come out and you start rattling it off right from the get-go. But for both of those games not to go our way, to go your way, it leaves that taste in your mouth like, man, we were there. We handled our business in the final week against the Wolverines, but just didn't have enough left in the gas.
Man, it's so devastating to go back into those seasons and to remember all the memories and everything that transpired because specifically the 2006 year, I don't know, even up until this point, if there's a team in college football that would have or that has beaten the number two team in the country 3 times in a row. And I think the 2006 years, that was what we were worried about. We were like, we got a chance to be the greatest college football team ever.
Ever.
Not just, this year, the 10 years ever.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
To be able to go out and lose the game in the fashion that we did versus Florida, it was so devastating. And I think, so much of our game plan was revolved around Teddy. And when he went down, it was like, shoot, what do we do next?
Yep.
Florida was a great team that year, man. They were so good. But it still bites me and pains me that we wasn't able to win that game because, hell, who doesn't want to be labeled as the greatest college football team ever?
Right.
We all wanted that.
Talk about leaving food on the plate, man.
In 2006 to go and lose versus LSU, oh my gosh. I mean, to sit here and say I played in 2 national championships and I don't have a ring, saying I won a national championship is like the most, debilitating thing ever. I mean, you hate it when you talk about it.
All right, man. Beanie Wells joined us on a 1372 show. A little housekeeping. We do have some of those iconic runs that we're going to be playing for you here, so keep those out. And we got some great guests coming up throughout this week. We're going to have a live show that we're doing from Harmon's Pub. We're going to be catching up some serious history on John Grimsley, who has passed. I was able to be inducted in the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame with him in 2014. So we're going to get some of his old Oilers teammates to come in and talk. We're going to hear from some other special guests. We're going to have Brent Selleck, 11-year NFL vet from the Eagles. He's going to come in, not only talk about the Eagles, but talk about the Bearcats. We know that they're going to be lining up against Alabama in the college football playoff. But as we continue more here with Beanie Wells joining me, man, after all that, you get the call, 31st pick of the NFL draft in the first round. Some guys have to wait a long time throughout that process, and it can be painstaking. I thought that I was going to be drafted. I ended up going to the Arizona Cardinals, but it was on a free agent contract. You had 32 picks in the first round. When you get to 31 and you're kind of getting antsy and then you get that call, what was that feeling like for you, not only you, but also your family?
It was a dream come true. Yeah, it was obviously a long day because, I thought I was going to go like the top 10 and, everybody always anticipates getting drafted higher than they do. But I thought I was going to be off the board. So I'm sitting there, biting my nails and like, oh man, what's going on? What's happening? But when I saw that 602 phone number come across the screen of my phone, man, my eyes lit up. I started to break down into tears. And, I think everybody knows once your phone starts to ring, it's somebody calling to draft you at that point in time. So my family is yelling. I had to quiet them down a little bit. But it was one of the greatest feelings of my life. I mean, to be able to work so hard your entire life, playing a game that you love. And I think the end goal for everybody is to one day have an opportunity to put on the NFL jersey and helmet. And, to get that call that I was going to be doing so, man, it was nothing short of incredible. Definitely an amazing day for me.
And rest in peace to Mr. Bidwell. We know that he had recently passed.
Yes.
A great organization, great family. His son has taken over and is running that program in the right direction. I'll tell you what, with Kyler Murray and Coach Kingsbury, who's come in there, and they've kind of put this new type of formula and system together in the NFL. Playing for Coach Ken Wisenhut. Great dude. We know his intensity and what he brings to the game. And kind of a similar situation where you come in there and you got a guy like Pitt who's taken over the running game for the Buckeyes. You come in there and Timmy Hightower, he was kind of doing his thing, but they brought you in there to kind of bolster that. And you guys were it was you with more of the power game, and he was kind of a little smaller scat back, the things he was able to do. Talk about the locker room feel, man, when you get in there. I remember my first experience, I get in there in training camp, and I got Edgar and James, who just got enshrined right across the street here inside the Football Hall of Fame recently. And, it's a whole different vibe from college football to the league.
Oh, man, it's completely different. I mean, when I get there, obviously Edge wasn't there, but I had Kurt Warner as my quarterback. I'm like, I was in the 6th grade when this dude won a Super Bowl. So that was kind of like, wow, I'm actually playing with this dude right now. Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, I got a bunch of Hall of Fame caliber guys and Hall of Famers on my team at this point. And, I lived with Larry my rookie year. So, I mean, that was amazing. Here I am watching a guy that, broke all his records in college football. He's done phenomenal things in the NFL, and I'm living with him and I'm training with him day in, day out my rookie year. It was incredible. It was an incredible time. Tim Hightower ended up being one of my best friends to this day. Again, it was one of those situations I went into, and it wasn't like, there's competition. It was like I was with a group of guys that we all had a same common goal. We wanted to win, and they were just trying to help me get acclimated to what it was going to be like in the National Football League.
All right. So your greatest game probably you ever put together against the St. Louis Rams, 228 yards, November 27th, Thanksgiving weekend. And you talked about some of those skill guys around you, but the big boys up front, Lyle Senline, Reggie Wells, Levi Brown, Deuce Latui, my boys is getting it done for you, man. That game, that's a highlight game for you. That's a career milestone. You're feeling after walking off the field thinking, man, I just dropped over 2 bills in an NFL football game against a division opponent.
Oh, it was crazy. It was nuts. And, I remember, when I got to run, and I think I was like maybe like 100, I don't know, 80 some yards. And they told me, hey, man, you got a chance to go over 200 and break the Cardinals single game rushing record. And I'm like, give me the ball. Let's make it happen. I mean, offensive line was hitting on all cylinders that day. And we were just basically controlling that game in every phase. I remember we had a young rookie at the time, Patrick Peterson, come in, have a couple punt returns that game. And, I'm like, man, we're all feeling ourselves at this moment. So to be able to do that in a National Football League game, come off the field and, be recognized as having the single game rushing record in franchise history, I mean, that's something that you just don't forget. And the fact that to this day it's still standing, I mean, years later, that's a beautiful feeling.
Man, it still stands to this day. And I'll tell you what, I know Scottsdale was on fire that night.
Oh my God. I mean, hey, you know what Scottsdale was like. I mean,
yeah, now they got our boy Jem. They got our boy Jem Ray down there. So I know Scottsdale's always lit.
Right. It's a great place to be a young 20-something-year-old having a ball.
No doubt about it, man. So for all that, you're rewarded with a 5-year contract. Obviously, we all know that the life expectancy of a running back in the NFL, it's as short as anybody's. I mean, when you get that rock out the backfield, you got 11 dudes that are trying to take you out the game, and you dealt with a foot injury, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that whole experience, knowing that a franchise they're relying on you to be the guy, but because of everything, your size, your speed, what you put out there on the field, injuries are a part of the game. Mentally, how did you deal with all that?
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, here I am, coming from college, and I had all the success, and my first couple of years, I'm doing pretty good, and I get this injury bug, and I can't get rid of it. I mean, it's one of the more harder things to deal with, because I think everybody that comes into the league, we all have these dreams of playing, 10 plus years, and walking off the field on our own terms, and hopefully one day putting on a gold jacket. And when you don't do that, you kind of feel less than at times. I mean, because this is something you worked your entire life for, that you wanted to do, and that you thought and anticipated was gonna, come to fruition. And when it doesn't happen, you're kind of sitting there like, dang, I mean, I wish I could still be out there. I wish I could have did more. What could I have done more? So you're thinking of all the different scenarios that, could have worked out in your favor. But for me personally, I mean, I think it was great that I had a great family around me that, didn't let me, sit and sulk too long about it. And it was, all right, man, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get on with life and what's going to be next.
Right. And ultimately, you've had a chance to reach the pinnacle, the highest that you can reach in the game of football, something that you thought about since you were a young kid. I've always told people, making that transition from what we'd essentially call being amateurs playing in college at the Division I level, whether you're at the D1 level, D3 level, once you get into the NFL, what's the biggest difference? Everybody always asks, is the hardest jump from high school to college, or is it college to the pros? Well, every week that we lined up for Ohio State, we knew that we were playing against guys on defense that were going to be playing on Sundays one day. But the difference is when you get to the league, there isn't that one dude over there on defense that you can say, okay, we're going to go after this dude.
Right.
Maybe he's got that look in his eyes, like they're, that dude over there at defensive end, and he's got Alex Boone lining up over top of him. It's like, okay, we're running left today because this dude ain't going to be able to handle it. Everybody, you're not getting paid money in the league to play if you can't play.
Right.
That transition for you, did you feel it was as tough from high school to college, or was it tougher college to the pros?
I think it was probably tougher from high school to college. Um, I think by the time you got to Ohio State, we're playing in the Big Ten. At this time, the Big Ten was a quality conference, and not to say that it isn't now, but it was a lot more competitive. So we played against some great talent, and the guys that we played against, most of them ended up playing on Sundays. So I think by the time I got there, I just knew it wasn't going to be a week to where we were going to play in Northern Illinois or the University of Akron. It was going to be week in, week out. It's going to be a grind, and I think I put that in my mentality. So I had to work. So it didn't make that big of a transition because I just knew week in, week out, it was going to be a grind.
When we look back at our careers at Ohio State, we kind of finished with some of the same type of accolades. You were second team All-American. We were consensus first team All Big Ten. But you look at the names when you finish, and I've always told people again, one of my proud moments as a blocking guard, as an offensive lineman, was to say that, hey, I had two guys that were top 10 rushers all time in you and Pitt. You finish as the number 6 all-time leading rusher for the Ohio State Buckeyes, putting your name up with guys like Archie, Zeke, Eddie George, a Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Spencer,
Right.
J.K. Dobbins. When you look back and think, man, I'm in this class and group with these dudes, that feeling right there has got to be so special to you.
Oh, it is, man. When you look at the fact that, one, it's the Ohio State University and how long the university has been around and been playing football, and you look at, dang, man, I'm able to crack the top 10 and at one point maybe the top 5. I mean, it's crazy to sit back and think of some of those things that I was able to accomplish at this prestigious university, just because there's been so much talent over the years that have come through here. So to be able to do that and to go back and look at, like, dang, man, I'm still in these record books around here, man, it's incredible.
So, and you actually left after your junior year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you think about, man, I might have had that extra year. I don't know if there was a whole lot of people that are going to get close to what Archie put up there, but potentially another year could have climbed you up higher, maybe got you inside of the top 5. Your ultimate
So
decision.
when I left, I was number 4. So
Okay.
I definitely would have. I was
Right,
because
because you had JK and Zeke that went in front of you after that.
JK and Zeke went past me, man. So my goal was like, man, if I come back, I'm definitely trying to be
Top
the
3.
second all-time leading rusher here. And I was doing the numbers and the math, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's possible.
The ultimate decision to leave early after your junior year. How much discussion does this go on with family, with Coach Tress, or your agent? To obviously it's financial, right? You're thinking, as you mentioned before, hey, I might be a lottery pick. You got to wait until the 31st pick, still go in the first round. But do you ever toss around in your head, what if I did come back for my senior year?
All the time. I mean, if I could do it all over again, I probably would have came back my senior year because I wanted to win a Heisman Trophy. I wanted to have one of those seats there in New York and hopefully hoisting that Heisman Trophy. And I wanted to win a national championship. And I thought we probably could have had a good chance to do that had I come back. But hindsight's 2020. I definitely, I didn't come from the most financially, stable situations back in Akron. So you understood that this was an opportunity to, go out and live your dreams and make some life-changing money. So I had to take it. I couldn't, risk it. And then, you see guys deal with injuries on a regular basis in football. So understanding that, it's like you got to jump ship. And I can go back to a conversation I had with Coach Tressel when I was being recruited. I sat in his office and he said, my goal for everybody that comes here, and specifically you, is for you to be at the end of your 3rd year talking about making a decision to go to the National Football League. And if I didn't do that, if you're not doing that, I feel like you failed in your career here. So I went back to that conversation with Coach Tressel. And, when that time came, I remember having a convo with him and my family, and we decided that it was going to be the best decision for me to move forward.
That's interesting, man. Such a selfless comment from a coach who would love to have you back for another year.
Exactly.
Beanie Wells joined us on the 1372 show, the QB and the OG here on the grounds of the Hall of Fame Village, powered by Johnson Controls. Shout out a couple special partners of ours, the NFL Alumni Association, C.H. Vallis and Associates, and the Cigar Lodge up in Akron, which I know you are a cigar aficionado, my friend. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Lodge before too, man.
That's the spot.
Yes,
Our man
indeed.
Doug Green, man, they get it done up there.
Yes, sir.
All right, man, you hit the hot button topic. You said Heisman. All right. So we were lucky enough, our quarterback, Troy Smith, was able to win it in 2006. A great moment for us being teammates, because you almost feel that that is a team award, even though there's only
Yeah,
one guy up there accepting that. It is a team award, especially when it's on your side of the ball. Um, but what happened recently on Saturday night with Desmond Howard and kind of taking a shot? How do you feel about that whole situation? Because Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, all this stuff has been blowing up, and there's
right.
shots coming from Ann Arbor, there's shots coming from Columbus. They're coming at Desmond saying you're classless for this. And how do you feel about how that all shook out?
You know what? I mean, I know one thing is going to make for great bulletin board material, and it's going to make for a great game next year. Just because Michigan hadn't beat Ohio State in a while, but when they do and they want to rub it in like that, Buckeye fans are going to be ticked off. And then on that stage, I mean, I definitely wouldn't have done that to one of the kids and
Right,
put him
right.
in that situation. I mean, you got to have a little bit more polish. But if he wants to say it's just a rivalry thing or whatever, having fun, I get it. But I just don't do that to a kid. I mean, this is a moment that's about them and them accomplishing something that a lot of kids want to accomplish. Being in New York for the Heisman Trophy, and to take that away from him like that, you can kind of see the look on CJ's face. He wasn't happy or pleased. Like,
Nah.
hey, bro, you really did this to me?
He came right for his offensive line's throat.
Exactly. Exactly. But man, I didn't like it at all. I'm one of those guys. I wouldn't have done that to a kid. I don't care where he went to school at all.
Beanie, I know that in the past you've had some podcast stuff going on. I know you and Boom Heron, and a shout out to another legendary running back from Ohio State. You guys had Beanie and the Boom, the podcast. Tell people where they can find you at, what you're doing. I know you recently just did something with Cardale. It was like a tailgate thing on Fox, I believe, and you've done some stuff with Wendy's before. Tell people where they can get you at, man.
Yeah, so I'm at Beanie Wells 26 on Twitter, at Beanie 26 on Instagram. I dibble and dabble in some media stuff, but for the most part, man, I'm just honed in on my kids, and I got some real estate ventures, some business ventures, and all of that. But man, I'm full-time dad mode.
Yeah.
I am full-time dad mode. During the football season, I'll do some media stuff and work with some outlets, but 90% of the time, it's all about these kids for me.
It's fun, man, and it's got to be cool for you to be able to see. I don't know if your boys are trying to rock your number or if they're trying to play the same position, but you as a dad, man, being able to see that has to be pretty special.
Oh man, it's fun. It's fun as heck. I mean, I get the most joy out of watching my kids play football and be with their teammates than I did versus anything I've ever done in football. So I mean, they're the highlight of my life, certainly.
God has truly blessed us, my man. Beanie Wells, love you, brother. I appreciate you joining me on the show. We're going to catch up with you down the line. We're always going to keep you plugged in, stay connected. And I can't wait till next time we get to see you, brother. We're going to fire up a couple of them stogies.
No doubt, man. Love you, man. Have a good one.
All right, Beanie. Appreciate it, my man.